Welcome to Community Essentials.
Something is happening to me. Something's coming over me. Got me wide awake.
We're going to get started right at this point. In behalf of our Proviso Township Democratic Committeeman, Karen Yarbrough, and the President of BTDO, Clarence Thomas, I am delighted to be the moderator for this candidates forum. For those of you who are members of Proviso Township Democratic Organization, I look at this as the opportunity for you to evaluate 3 candidates who are members of our organization, to check them out in terms of their passion, their interests, their message, and their ideas. Because we will have an opportunity down the line to recommend to our committeemen a choice that this organization will have to endorse the candidate to whom the baton will be passed from State Representative Karen Yarbrough. Opening statements, 2 minutes. Rory.
My name is Rory Hoskins, and I'm here wearing a couple of hats. I'm certainly a candidate for state representative, a potential candidate for state representative, but I'm also a father, I'm a husband, and I'm a community leader. In Forest Park, I've served as the Commissioner for Public Health and Safety. For 4 years prior to that, I served as Commissioner for Accounts and Finance. I've run twice in Forest Park. Each time I've been elected with more votes than any commissioner candidate. Each time I ran in Forest Park, I was endorsed by the newspaper. So what that tells me, and what that should tell you, is that people know who they're voting for. People looked at my record. People approved of my record, and the paper, who is an objective reviewer of proceedings, approved of my record. And I expect that would be the case if I'm elected to serve in Springfield. Now you may ask, well, why are you qualified? You know, what have you done that prepares you to serve in Springfield? I've worked in a number of settings. I've worked in social services. I have a master's degree in social work. I've worked in Veterans Affairs. I worked in the psychiatric ward of Hines Veterans Hospital. I think I have a unique understanding of veteran issues, and I've proposed programs to assist returning veterans. I serve on the School of Social Work Advisory Board at Loyola University, and I helped that university to implement returning veterans assistance programs. I also worked in economic development for over 10 years. For 6 years, I worked for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. First in small business development for 3 years, then later in business incentives. I've also worked in education settings. I've been a substitute teacher, and I worked in early childhood education. I want to thank PTDO for this forum, and I want to thank my colleagues here for allowing me to speak next to them.
Good morning, PTDO. As Larry mentioned, my name is Sherby Miller, and I come before you, my PTDO family, asking for your support as I seek to become your next state representative. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up on the west side of Chicago and I am a graduate of Lane Tech High School, the first co-ed class. Upon graduation, I enlisted in the U.S. Navy, where I served for 4 years in naval intelligence. After which I came out and pursued both my bachelor's, and I have a master's in management. Professionally, I have over 25 years in the IT community as a project manager with IBM, as well as in the telecommunications arena as a network engineer with AT&T. Within my community, I serve as your current Democratic Committee woman, where I have been dedicated and loyal to this organization and I am one of the original members of the organization. I currently also serve as a commissioner on the Proviso Township Mental Health Commission, as well as a member of Westchester's ethics community. And I think that those appointments speak to my credibility as well as my dedication. As I mentioned, I am here because I want to expand my role. As they say, as it was mentioned in the prayer of Jabez, I pray that the Lord enlarge my territory, and thus I'm asking for your support.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Christopher Welch. I am a lifelong resident of the 7th District of the great state of Illinois, and I too come before you to ask for your support to be your next state representative. Of the 3 people that are sitting before you, I am the only one that can say I am a lifelong resident of this district. You all know me, you've seen me, I recognize most of the faces in here, but I want to tell you who's helped shape me. Who's helped shape me is my beautiful wife, Shantae, who's present here this morning, 5 months pregnant and with our first child coming in March. My mom, who is here all the way from St. Louis, moved here in 1969, had 3 boys who all graduated from Proviso high schools. She was at Proviso East, dropped out after her second son was born, but she went back, got her GED and her nursing degree from Triton Community College, and made sure that all 3 of us went to college. My dad, the real Emmanuel Welch, that's why they call me Chris, lives right here in Bellwood, works at Proviso Township each and every day helping the seniors of our community. My brother Billy Welch is here, Proviso West graduate, still living right here in Bellwood and serving the community. We're here, we've been here, we're not going anywhere. We're gonna raise our family right there in Hillside, where both Shantae and I live now, where she grew up her entire life, and our son or daughter is gonna go to Proviso West as well. We believe in these schools. That's why public education is my deepest passion. I've served on Proviso's board for the last 10 years. I've also served as the chair of Westlake Hospital. I've helped this community get access to health care with free health screenings and senior services at churches. I am the only candidate who has served this entire district. I'm going to ask you, as you listen to the 3 of us today, to consider our record and support Chris Welch to be your next state representative. Thank you.
First question. Effective legislators usually focus on a particular area of concern. Often that is driven by a passion for a specific issue and an understanding of what the highest priorities are for your constituents. If you are elected state representative for the 7th District, what issue are you most passionate about and why? We will start with Sherby.
The issue that I am most passionate about is that of our returning veterans. As most of you know, the President has announced that he is looking to have our troops return home to their respective homes by the holidays. I feel that services should be in place to help our soldiers, both men and women that are returning. We can't expect them to come from a war zone and then just put them in, expect them to just go back into the community as though things were normal. So I want to ensure that we have the appropriate resources, be it health care, the resources for assistance via home mortgages, I know, and foreclosures. I know that's something that all of us are facing, not only the veterans, and also ensuring that they have jobs when they come back home. They have put their lives on the line for us, and in turn, I feel that we should make accommodations or ensure that resources are available to accommodate them. So that is my most pressing issue, Larry.
I think Sherby has a very good point in paying tribute to our veterans, especially the day after Veterans Day. I think all of us want to make sure they get the dignity that they deserve. And there's so many issues that impact our district. It's hard to say which one you're going to be most passionate about. But your life experiences truly do mold you into being passionate about something. Clearly, if I went to Springfield, I would be fighting for public education. I think public education is where it all starts. It's the root. If you fix the root, you're going to fix a whole lot of problems in our district. If you educate people, they're going to be able to get jobs. If you educate people, they're not going to be out there committing crimes. If you educate people, they are going to have fulfilling and successful careers, and be able to raise families and come back to Proviso Township just like I have when I graduated college and law school and where I'm raising my family. It all starts with education. And the education system in Illinois is broken. We are ranked 49th out of 50th in how we educate our students and how we're succeeding. Why? I think it's because of the way we finance our schools. I would champion, especially now that Senator Meeks is leaving the General Assembly, I would be the champion of changing how we fund our schools. As long as you have schools funded on property taxes, you're going to always have Oak Park, New Trier, LT, York doing better than Proviso schools. When they're paying $20,000 a house in property taxes that go toward a school, and we're paying $5,000 a house, there's the inequities right there. You need longer school days, you need longer school years, but you're not going to get a teacher to do that without paying them. Where are you going to get the money to pay them? Change the way we finance our schools, and it cannot be based on property taxes. I have a solution for that. I believe that just like the state of Michigan does, if you look toward an income tax, if you look toward a sales tax and lower people's property taxes and let the State Board of Education based on need and a formula, you'll be able to fix District 89, Ms. Rivers. You'll be able to fix District 209 because we will receive the appropriate state funding that we need. Currently, we don't receive that. And I truly believe the only way to fix what's going on in the streets of the 7th District is to start with education. And that's what I'd be most passionate about.
Like my colleagues here, education is a passion of mine, but I think I approach it from a slightly different perspective. My passion is to shape our educational system to where it most benefits the children. And what I have not heard talked about is involving teachers in the discussion. Okay, you know, when we talk about having a longer school day, that makes sense, but you have to have the buy-in from the teachers. I believe that we need to upgrade some of our curriculum and make other reforms, but the teachers have to be involved in these decisions as well. Now, in terms of children, I've raised my children through the public school system here. I have one son who's a freshman in high school. I started working with him in kindergarten. We took him all the way through the District 91 K through 8 system. I've always been engaged with our school district. I've brought resources to our local school district through Loyola University School of Social Work, through partnerships with then Lieutenant Governor Pat Quinn and the one laptop per child program, which is documented in the Forest Park Review. So I've been actively engaged in the education struggle. Now, in terms of children, I mentioned earlier that I'm a former social worker, so I want to see more services provided for children. In Forest Park, we have lots of new residents. In the last 15 years, Forest Park went from being approximately 8% African American to being 33% African American. What I did as a commissioner and as an engaged parent is to work with our school system and our youth commission to create new programs for these kids, and I brought everybody into the discussion. As your next state representative, that's what I'll do. My other passion is economic development. I worked in economic development for over 10 years, both public sector and private sector. Friends, we need jobs in this community. I have an articulated jobs program that highlights our existing economic development tools. That program is available on my website, www.roryhoskins.com. I talk about promoting the enterprise zone in the Proviso area. I talk about promoting some of the existing job training programs that are available to companies that will help companies to create jobs, to retain jobs in Proviso. But again, if you have a school system that has a modern day curriculum, if you have teachers who buy into the process and who cooperate with the system, then you can educate and raise up children who are employable. And currently, this area suffers from disproportionately high unemployment. That's something that the next state representative needs to actively be engaged in the discussion to address. Thank you.
Question number 2. There are more than 40 active committees in the Illinois House of Representatives. If you are elected, name the top 3 committees to which you would like to be appointed. Please explain each of your choices. We will start with Chris.
I think most people can predict the first committee I would want to serve on. And that committee, of course, is the Elementary and Secondary Education Committee. Now, in Springfield, committees are chosen based on seniority. So popular committees go to those who have most seniority. But if I had my choice, I would want the Elementary and Secondary Education Committee. I would also want to serve on the Human Services Committee. And I would also want to serve on the Judiciary, it's called Judiciary 2 Criminal Law Committee. I would want to do all 3 of those committees because all 3 of those areas is where I feel I can best serve the district, and I have a unique experience that these other 2 candidates don't have, and I can get it done for this community. When you talk about elementary and secondary education, it's easy. You got to get in there. You got to be the voice. You got to be the constant voice. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. I'm going to go to Springfield, and I'm not going to stop squeaking till we change the way we finance our public schools. Teachers do need input. Teachers give input every day. The union president from MEA, NEA, District 89 was at an event that I had last night, and very supportive of what we're trying to do. But what they always say is they want more money. They'll do a longer school day. They'll do a longer school year, but they want to do it with more money. Where will more money come from? We can fix that in Springfield by changing the way structurally we fund our schools. On the Judiciary 2 Criminal Law Committee, I think truly, with my legal background the last 14 years, being a partner in the law firm of Sanchez and Daniels, having worked in both the Public Defender's Office and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, I can tell you, we are sending too many of our residents in this district to jail for simple possession of crack cocaine, for simple possession of small amounts of crack cocaine, and they're getting some serious time. We need to change that. I would be a voice in that criminal law committee talking about these inequities in sentencing laws. I would also go down and serve on that Human Services Committee. I'm the grandson of a grandmother who had 21 foster children, and I can tell you, my grandmother saved a lot of those kids from the street. And I witnessed firsthand what having the state involved in social services programs can do for you. The state of Michigan, where my grandmother lived until she passed this past June, was very active in recruiting foster parents like her. And she had 21 foster kids, and many of those kids she saved from drugs, she saved from crime. And I want to take that experience that I had watching her to take it to Springfield, get on that Human Services Committee. I also served and worked in the Department of Children and Family Services right here. So I have the experience and can get it done.
Thank you, Larry. I'd like to serve on the Revenue Committee. I'd like to serve on the Education Committee, and I would like to serve on the Labor Committee. I've already talked a little bit about my experience in economic development. In many states, state legislators, state governments, they all compete for the same jobs. You hear all the time that jobs are moving overseas, but jobs are also coming into the United States from Japan, from China, from Europe, from other places. And anytime a company is considering locating in the United States, they know that they can play one state against another state. When I worked for KPMG LLP as a tax consultant, my job was to represent large companies who were considering locations in the United States. They could choose between, for instance, Illinois and Minnesota. So they would come to us and they would say, take our proposed package to the Illinois state government. And we'd say, this company proposed to invest X millions of dollars. They're going to create 500 new jobs. There's going to be a multiplier effect based on those salaries and the expenditure towards construction and other activity. We would take that same message to, say, Minnesota, okay? And in the end, each state would offer packages to attract those jobs. The packages came in the form of tax credits based on new jobs created. The packages sometimes involved discretionary grants that could be used to purchase equipment and land. Sometimes the packages involve grants for employer training. I would like to use my experience, serve on the Revenue Committee, to shape new Illinois programs that would make Illinois more attractive to job creators. I would like to help Illinois create an environment where site selection consultants who help these large companies decide where to build new manufacturing plants, who help these companies decide where to build new distribution centers. I would like to set policies that get the attention of these consultants because they are out there. But most people don't work in that realm, and most people don't really understand how that process works. And I'm quite certain that many legislators don't understand how that process works. But I worked in that process for over 10 years. So I would like to take those experiences and serve on the Revenue Committee. I know that as a freshman representative, I really would not have that much say. But being a legislator is about compromise, communication, and building coalitions. And as a parent and as someone who's been married for 14 years, you can bet that I know how to compromise, okay? And I know how to build coalitions. And I will tell you that you can read about my plan on my website, www.roryhoskins.com. And I'm also a foster parent. So, Chris, I admire what your grandmother did. My wife and I are licensed foster parents, and we currently have a foster child. So thank you.
Thank you, Larry. The committees that I would be most interested in serving on, and as my colleague mentioned, that determination is also based upon one's seniority, but I have a genuine interest for that of veteran affairs. Being a veteran myself, I feel I have a unique understanding of what they go through that I can speak to versus my colleagues, in that I would want there to be, I would want to be able to help to shape the ideas behind assistance for our veterans. As I mentioned earlier in my opening remarks, I have a genuine concern for those that have served our country and are returning, but yet don't have the resources to help get back on their feet. I feel that we, again, as I mentioned, they have put their lives on the front line for us, and we in turn should help them by ensuring that the appropriate resources are available to them. Secondly, I have a genuine interest for that of health care and health care for all, not just those that can afford it, but for everyone. I too often run across those that put their health on the line because they say they don't have the adequate insurance. So again, I feel that reforms are necessary there, and as a former CEO of a health service company, I feel that I have a unique experience there to help provide input and shape the ideas there. I would be interested in the Labor Committee. Our country was built on the backs of slave labor. And I feel that we should help the blue-collar workers. The majority of the folks that are in our township are, in fact, blue-collar workers. There are a few white collars, but the vast majority are blue collars. So I feel that that I can go to bat for the blue-collar worker and ensure that their benefits are not continuing to be stripped away as we turn around and provide and take jobs or send jobs overseas.
Number 3, one of the greatest problems in state government is the budget, with the deficit probably exceeding $5 billion. How would you trim the deficit without hurting programs and services vital to many of your constituents? We will begin with Rory.
I think they're working right now trying to figure out how they're going to trim that $5 billion deficit. And you don't hear a lot of answers coming out. But I can tell you that I've worked in a couple of state agencies. and I know certain areas can be trimmed. It won't close the entire gap, but agencies can reduce spending on things like out-of-state travel. Agencies can limit the amount of cars that they assign to employees. For instance, in Illinois, the Department of Central Management Services gives out hundreds of cars to employees. Not every one of those employees needs a car. Similar situation with Department of Corrections, Department of Transportation. The agency that I used to work for, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, only has about 6 cars in its fleet. But some of the other agencies have many more cars, so they can limit the number of cars that they assign. This cuts down on some of the insurance costs, on some of the costs of mechanics, things like that. They can also look at vendor discounts. In an economy that is not expanding and may even be shrinking, any vendor dealing with the state of Illinois is thankful for those contracts. So the state is in a power position where it can go to some of these vendors and say, we give you X amount of business, we expect a 7% discount in year 2, year 3, and year 4. So when you start putting together some of these reforms in a systematic way, you can achieve long-term cost savings.
Larry, one of the things that I would work toward is to help reduce the state's budget, and I know a lot. It might not seem like a popular view, and that is that one of asking state employees to give back, if you will, by taking a week or 2 off, where we would not have to pay them, but that therefore ensuring that not only that they keep a job, but others may also be able to keep a job, because then more monies would be available. And another area that I feel would help toward the reduction of the deficit is looking towards some of these lottery monies that have been supposedly being allocated toward our schools.
I was in Springfield this past week, and actually the budget deficit for the state is about $8 billion. The state is in a real bad hole. Of the ones sitting up here, again, I'm asking you to, when you consider the candidates who can best serve the district, you have to consider our record. And where I have served, I have balanced budgets. At Proviso High School, we have balanced the budget for the last 4 years. And what that means is you're spending as much as you're bringing in. If you're bringing in $1, you're spending $1. We're not spending more than what we're bringing in. We have had a balanced budget for the last 4 years. 2006, 2007, we were negative $14 million. We passed a balanced budget resolution. We said enough is enough. It's about the policies that the state has to enforce and implement. That balanced budget amendment resolution drives us each and every day we go to work at Proviso. And you can do those by taking a close look at how you are doing things within your organization.
You know, when I ran for office the very first time, I didn't get the opportunity to present at home. I just didn't get that opportunity because I wasn't invited to the party. But these folks are in the party. They're here. They're from Proviso, and they want to represent you at the state level. But these folks want to make that sacrifice. They want to go to Springfield. They want to represent you. Give them your time and talent now. This is where they need it. And they probably like to have your money, too. Okay, with that, thank you.
This concludes our forum. I think we have some refreshments. Okay. Thank you again.